God said to Abram, "Go forth from your native land and from your parents' house to the land that I will show you." This is where it all begins. Our hero sets out on a journey. He ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonders. He will encounter fabulous forces and win many victories. He will accept the calling, and he will be transformed. His name will not be Abram anymore, but Abraham. And with the new name, he will gain a new identity. Many of our commentators of blessed memory praise Abraham for his bravery and devotion. For the sake of his love of Holy One, he left behind the place where he lived, his friends, his parents. But I always thought that if he knew that this is what God wanted, why was that a challenge? Wouldn't it be nice if for once in my life, God came to me and told me exactly what to do? That would be such a relief. Can you imagine that? An ultimate shift of responsibility. What a nice sensation that would be. So I always envied Abraham in this regard. I too want God to tell me what to do. Even when writing the sermon, I asked God to intervene and write it for me. I said, "God, if you have anything to say, this seems like a good opportunity." So in my understanding, there are two ways to interpret this commandment to go forth from the native land. Either this was the easiest choice that Abraham could ever possibly make, just do what God tells you to do. Or maybe it was not as clear to Abraham as we imagine that this commandment was from God. Maybe Abraham heard it the way we hear it. A tingling sensation, obscure desire, this crazy idea, this urge to do something you really want to do, but you can't. There are so many factors, there are so many people, so many responsibilities we have to take into consideration. What if you make a wrong choice? What if this voice inside your heart is nothing but an illusion? Maybe it's just your fantasy. How do you know if that is what God wants you to do? It is said that God appeared to Abraham in a vision. Imagine Abraham going outside and looking at the starry skies. Have you ever looked at the stars at night and felt so tiny compared to the size of the universe? And did you ever wonder if someone is looking back at you or you're completely alone? In the silence of the night, Abraham is thinking about his future, that he will not have children, that he will not leave a mark in this world, and after his death, he will be forgotten. And at this moment of deep contemplation, God appears to him. He says, "Look toward heaven and count the stars. So shall your offsprings be." V'he'amin b'Adonai, and Abraham believed in God. This is huge because for the first time in the Torah, it is said that a human being believed in God. This verse introduces to us the concept of faith, a belief in something greater than you are. Believe that your journey has a purpose beyond your personal gain, and trust that God will take care of you wherever you go. This is how the trust in God is introduced into the story of humanity. And you know what? Yet immediately after that, Abraham asked, "Oh God, how shall I know that this is true?" Even at this epic moment, Abraham still has his doubts. So how do you know if God really told you to go forth from your native land and from your parents' house to the land that God will show you? Or instead, maybe you just wanted to travel the world. And do you dare to say, "I have gone to a land far away because God wanted me to do so"? Or you keep these thoughts to yourself, afraid that people will make fun of you, or even worse, they will be angry with you. How dare you ascribe the will of God to your own actions? I do not know if Abraham asked himself exactly this type of questions, but I do ask myself these questions a lot. When I look back at my journey that brought me to JTS, I know that it was a miracle. The combinations of events that had to happen in order for me to stand here today, it's just beyond my comprehension. I couldn't have planned it. I met so many amazing people who taught me, protected me, and supported me spiritually and financially. So many times I was simply lucky to be at the right place at the right time. My point is this, that I would never have been able to get here on my own simply because I wanted it. And actually, how could I have ever wanted it? When I set out on this journey, I did not know JTS existed. My home where I grew up is more than 6,000 miles away. When I call my mom, she's 14 hours ahead of me, just so you know. And when I was there, I did not know any of you. I did not have any connections. I did not have any relevant education. I did not have money. All I had was my trust in God. And now I'm privileged to be here. I'm sure you have heard many motivational quotes like this. Don't stop believing in yourself, no matter what happens. Follow your dreams, believe in yourself, and never, ever give up. If you believe in yourself and you know what you want, it's going to happen. But in my experience, believing in myself was too hard of a task because we make mistakes and we fail and we make bad choices and we disappoint ourselves. I could never really believe in myself, honestly. But you know what? Hey, I'm still here because I believed in God and I trusted God. But just believing in God, it's also dangerous because too often people who claim to act in the name of God end up hurting other people. It is too easy to fall into the trap of confusing your own will for the will of God, to think that what you want is what God wants. So how was Abraham able to survive the grandeur of encountering God without completely losing his mind? How was he able to talk to God without becoming a megalomaniac narcissist? One of the key qualities ascribed to Abraham by our sages of blessed memory was humility. Abraham gladly served others. He followed God's will. Mishnah says, whosoever has humble spirit is a disciple of Abraham. Abraham was able to combine two seemingly contradicting qualities. He used to say, I'm nothing but dust and ashes. And yet he was self-confident enough to argue with God when that was necessary. So is it possible to find a balance between believing in God and believing in yourself, trusting God and trusting yourself, being aware of the greatness of your task and of your personal weaknesses and imperfections? Rabbi Simcha Bunim, a great Polish Hasidic master at the turn of 19th century, suggested the following. Everyone must have 2 pockets with a note in each pocket, so they can reach into one or the other depending on the situation. When feeling high and mighty, one should reach out into the left pocket and find a note with the words of Abraham. Ve'anohi afar va'efer. I am nothing but dust and ashes. But when feeling down, feeling depressed and discouraged, one should reach into the right pocket and there find the words. Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For my sake, this world was created. I believe that it is not enough just to believe in yourself or just to believe in God, but to believe that you are worthy of the task that God gives you. You are a hero of your story. You are worthy of following God's commandments. You are worthy of bringing the change into this world and fulfilling these crazy dreams that you have, and you're worthy to venture into the unknown world. And this story, it all began with Abraham. And if you don't believe that Abraham was a real person, someone had to be the first person who believed in God. And you know what? Yes, it is possible that she was a woman. Maybe she was not an elder. Maybe she was just a little girl who lost her breath looking at the starry skies. Each and every one is a hero who is called for an adventure. And God is talking to us in different languages and symbols and dreams. And though we are nothing but dust and ashes, For our sake, this world was created. Before we finish with Kaddish D'Rabbanan, I want to thank you, a couple of people. First and foremost, the amazing couple, Susan and Marty Adelman, who made this miracle possible and paid for my entire education in the United States. And also flew here from Detroit to be here with me today. It's unbelievable, especially because my parents are not able to be here, so that was very, very important for me. I would like to say Rabbi Daniel Nevins, who I know is watching this online, because he found me in the land far away and he brought me here. And I would like to thank Rabbi Gordon Tucker for being my mentor, who helped me to compose this sermon and express my thoughts and feelings in foreign language. And finally, to my most amazing, one-of-a-kind partner in crime, Victor Samuel, who went with me wherever I went and stayed in the tents for most of the part, but who sustained me and cared for me when I could not do that. So, Kaddish D'Rabbanan. את גדל ואת קדש מרבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימחון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. איש מרבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תוש ברכתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידיהון ועל כל תלמידי תלמידיהון ועל כל מאן דעסקין באורייתא דברי הדין ודין וכל אתר ואתר יהיה לכון ולכון שלמה רבה חינה וחסדה ורחמי וחיי ערכי ומזני רווחי ופרקנה מן קדם אבוכון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו Amen.